I am going to show you how these special right triangles that you learned when you were in geometry will help us with this trig and the unit circle. So, first of all, we're going to look at the special right triangle of 30, 60, 90. So, if we start with an equilateral triangle, we have all sides equal. And then all angles are equal. And since all the angles in any right triangle or in any triangle add up to 180, if all the angles are equal, we just do 180 divided by 3, and those angles are 60 apiece. Okay, so now if we take that equilateral triangle and we drop an altitude, dropping an altitude makes a right angle. So anytime, if you may not remember that from geometry, but anytime you drop an altitude, it's from a vertex to the opposite side and it makes a right angle. So in an equilateral triangle, if we drop an altitude from that vertex, it makes a right angle. It splits the entire triangle in half. So it splits the 60-degree angle up here at the top into two 30-degree angles. We still have our 60-degree angle that we started with right there. And then if we had each side equal to 2 to start with, it doesn't say that over here, but we'll say each one of those sides was 2. They're all equal. So if we had each side equal to 2, then it splits that bottom in half. And then so that right half would be equal to 1 right there. So we noticed then that the shortest leg, which is always the one across from the smallest angle, so in a 30, 60, 90 triangle, the shortest leg is half of the hypotenuse. So it's 1 and the hypotenuse is 2. And then if we do the Pythagorean theorem, we would say 2 squared minus 1 squared is 4 minus 1. So let me write that. So if we say 2 squared minus 1 squared to give us a squared. So we get 4 minus 1 is 3. And so if 3 is a squared, we square root both sides, and we get that altitude as the square root of 3. So that gives us our different sides for 30, 60, 90 triangle. So that's going to help us with our trig functions. So I will show you how that's going to work. So actually, we'll just put that on hold for a second. Let me go with the 45, 45, 90. So it's also a special right triangle that's going to help us with our trig functions. So in this case, every time for a 45, 45, 90 triangle, that means that the angle A is 90. These angles are equal because the sides are equal. And so if all three angles add up to 180, this one's 90. So then these other two, angle B and angle C, add up to 90. So those are each 45 degrees. Okay. And then you can do the Pythagorean theorem to get x squared plus x squared equals your third side. So